दोस्तों आज हमारे गेस्ट शालाला के सिंगर और सॉन्ग राइटर शायान इटालिया है। अगर आपने ये गाना नहीं सुना हो तो इस इंटरव्यू के बाद जरूर सुनिएगा। मैं आपको बता दूं ये गाना है अबाउट लव विदाउट बाउंड्रीज। किसी भी प्रकार का प्यार हो, किसी भी प्रकार की मोहब्बत हो, किसी भी प्रकार का इश्क हो, विदाउट बाउंड्रीज उसको हमें स्वीकारना है, अपनाना है। ये गाना ये कहता है। और इस गाने में बहुत सारे इंटरनेशनल म्यूजिशियंस ने एक साथ काम किया है। तो आइए, without wasting time, let me welcome Shayan Italia. Shayan, welcome to Komal Nahta Official. It's a pleasure having you on this show.
Thank you. It's a great honor here. I've studied a lot of your work in the last 3 days. I think if I've added a lot of views to your YouTube page or they've gone up, racked up, it's because of me. I want to take credit for that. Like number of times to go, like, because I was actually telling someone else when they asked me saying, have you kind of studied his format? And your format is very much like Sir David Frost's format, Frost Over the World. Obviously we're in COVID, so we're doing this interactively. But in general, the way you sit on a couch and you speak to people, it's very intimate. And it's where the curtains kind of come down, which is good.
Come down, yes. Thank you so much. Shayan, मुझे ये बताइए, इस वीडियो की आइडिया शालाला, इस वीडियो की आइडिया और इस गाने की आइडिया आपको कहाँ से आई?
Okay, let's start by saying that I write for myself. So I started writing songs after my mother passed away when I was very young.
Oh, I'm sorry.
मैं बहुत छोटा सा था. And so I write a song very fast. And I stick with it, but then I take a long time to know if it's very good or bad.
और ये आप खुद जज करते हैं या दूसरों को भी सुनाते हैं?
Yes, initially I get feedback from others, but for me, it's a very internal process for a few days to just live with the song that I believe is good. And I try and also play it in different methodologies. So for me, a song is just not a song. It has to be broken down into multiple parts. And if the music of the song can actually work in different parts, then you kind of have a really good song. So there are very few songs that get into movies, to give you a simple example. And I'm taking the Hollywood movie format, where typically if you take a song like Titanic, right? My Heart Will Go On, you will notice that the song runs through the entire film, the theme. And that is a very powerful thing in music, which actually you don't find much in Indian movies. You do find certain times, and A.R. Rahman and other great composers do it well, but it's very hard to find that formula, which is why a lot of the songs coming out in today's world, at least in the Indian market, are very short-lived, because they serve the purpose of just being a song, which is fine, which is great, but it's not something that works in a storyline or something that creates a certain sense of reminiscence of a scene or an ideology or your imagination. So Shalala was written a long time back, a really long time back.
And long time का मतलब कितने महीनों या कितने सालों पहले?
Maybe 15 years back.
अच्छा.
So I only launch a song if it's crossed 10 years for me. So because then if it's lived for 10 years, it is no longer bound by time. It is.
अरे वाह.
In a certain.
अच्छा. अब मुझे समझ में आ रहा जब आपने कहा कि I'm very self-critical. वाकई में बहुत self-critical है आप. You are very self-critical.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was writing very fast. Like when my mother passed away, there were songs coming every month. Now that I've got a body of work of about say 100 songs or more, and I call these class A songs, so you can have really bad songs, which I probably got like another 70, decent songs, another 50, and the class A songs are the ones where you're like, okay, these are something special. I could sing them or someone else could sing them, but they were really good songs. So now I take a lot of care because I can immediately identify that's acha nahi hai, and something that will live on. And that's very important for me. And now I've come to a point where if I present a song, or if I write a song, I know it's very good. And sometimes, which is really weird, which has happened in COVID, sometimes I've gone back to the catalog and I found a song which I potentially thought was utter rubbish, but maybe because of what I know right now, and I've grown as a musician, maybe it can be made into something special because it fits the timeline or the
Mhm,
style of music that is presented today, which would
mhm,
not have been so maybe 10 years ago if I wrote it.
ओके ओके। तो ये 15 साल बाद जब ये गाना आपने वापस लिया, क्या ट्रिगर पॉइंट क्या था कि मुझे ये गाने पर वीडियो बनाना है और इतना ब्यूटीफुल वीडियो बनाया?
So two things.
हम्म,
Firstly, I've always been curious. Can the music work in multiple languages? Now, I don't speak
हम्म,
Spanish, I don't speak Italian or German, which are the main music markets. But we are in India, so I thought, can I test it out by taking its original English counterpart
हम्म,
and converting it to Hindi, which is also
हम्म,
very simplified lyrics, but the English counterpart is slightly more tongue in cheek.
हम्म,
It's a bit more playful, purely because
हम्म,
of the language. I think the language, one of the reasons why English is sort of a universal language is because it's a very hard language to learn. So a lot of dialects tell me, but the play on words is very kind of intelligent. Like you can say something, but you know there's a double or a triple or a quadruple
yes,
meaning,
yes, yes.
right? Which I've always found, having studied in India with Hindi, it's not as cut and dry. Let's put it that way. So
हम्म,
the initial idea was also to choose international people for the video purely because of the sentiment of the video says love without boundaries.
हम्म,
And also the song was kind of is eventually I would launch a song like this internationally, but out of COVID, not in COVID, because we are all kind of confined. It's all no touch, etc. But the Hindi platform is a test for which we're getting a lot of good feedback on, which is really important. I didn't want to go full on and say, here it is on YouTube and here it is everywhere, etc. It's more like, getting the right, intelligent, open-minded people to first look at it, and then kind of slowly grow it as we're going forward. So it's a very organic process, and the support has been overwhelming.
या जैसा आपने कहा कि सपोर्ट हैज बीन ओवरवेलमिंग। तो जब आपने ये गाना बनाया और वीडियो बनाया, वर यू एप्रीहेंसिव? आपको डर था कि पता नहीं कैसे पब्लिक रिसीव करेगी, कैसे लोग रिसीव करेंगे, क्या बोलेंगे, या आपको कॉन्फिडेंस था क्योंकि 15 साल बीत चुके थे?
Let's start by saying that I really don't give a damn about public opinion.
अच्छा।
I also don't, I hate social media in general. I find it completely pointless, although I've just joined Instagram. But every time I post a photograph of myself, I go, who would want to see this? Why would anyone want to see me? What is there to say? I don't have any story to tell in that way. I don't know a lot of things and I make a lot of mistakes, but the one thing I know for sure, having done this for a long time, and since my being in my teenager years, I've been recording with the best orchestras in the world at the best studios, and it's just organically happened, is I know a good song for the genre it's in. And I'm exposed to a lot of genres. There's certain types of music I don't like, but I can still say, oh my God, that's a great song for that genre of music. Um, for me, as a composer and a songwriter, it's very important to know that the song is the star of the show. Like you could take a great song and I could make a video right now just singing this to you and it'll move. But if you take a crap song and you spend 5 crores on the video, it won't do anything.
Nothing,
Yeah,
yes,
right?
बिल्कुल सही,
So,
बिल्कुल।
and it's also a craft of the ears. It's not of the eyes. Although it is an audio visual medium, it's still audio visual,
करेक्ट,
right? And people don't
करेक्ट।
forget it. It would never be visual audio. It just defies the kind of purpose. So I think that's one thing. Making the video was interesting in apprehension. Initially, a lot of people were very apprehensive to do it. In fact, I found the apprehension starting when a lot of my friends in India are models who are foreigners, like Brazilian, Argentinian, Spanish, and all of them wanted to do it, but they're like, no, if we do this, we may not get a job in Bollywood or other places. And I
अच्छा,
was like, yeah. And I was like,
अच्छा।
is that how you reference your work? Because you won't go very far like that. Do it for the
हुँ,
craft.
हुँ, हुँ,
So I
हुँ,
always start with the song and the ideology of the video, and the video was always on a concept of doing it with different faces, not having me as the centrifuge at all.
Mhm.
And also showcasing something very, very important in today's world. Now, it was recorded out of COVID, but so the idea of love without boundaries, although COVID has made the statement more pertinent and more apt, I think right now the key thing is, I've always been brought up with that ideology that religion, caste, culture, creed, place should not matter when you love someone. So I am very, very opposed to Section 377 or anything to do with restricting any human being to love any other human being in whatever manner that they seem fit.
And I would ask you, what has been the response from the LGBT community, LGBTQ community, and the others? Is it the same or is it different?
So I'll break it down into three parts, which might help.
Mhm, mhm,
Let's do the bad one first because they are more fun, right?
mhm.
So I don't know if you've seen the video. So one woman sent me this long message, and it was really good because I was thinking, my God, you spent time to watch a video and you wrote me this 10,000 word message on how it's inappropriate to put a cat on a woman. So, and I was like, that's okay. So I was like, what do you think happens when a woman sits on the bed with her cat? Does she put him on the floor?
Mhm,
Like, where do you think the
mhm,
cat goes? The cat only
mhm,
goes over her. And do you think
mhm,
the woman is dressed up in like a suit when she's sitting on the bed? No, she's probably in lingerie, probably in pajamas, probably in
mhm,
whatever it is.
mhm,
So a lot of the video is very suggestive. And the
mhm.
negative comment is, this is inappropriate for India. So I was like,
Okay.
okay,
Mhm,
how is that? How is that true? Like, I mean, it's not an adult, there's nothing shown, it's all suggestive, and everything is actually in an art form. Like, if you actually go to um great art gallery in the world, almost 70% of the art is nude paintings, nude depictions, because that's how it was in the 13th, 14th, 15th century, and it's classily done. So that's kind of the negative feedback that you get from people who don't give their opinion generally, but they are more culturally driven. This is inappropriate for India. My religion would not allow this, which doesn't give me actual feedback. It's more of just making a stance um, in the shadow of a bigger umbrella. From my friends who are part of the LGBT community, they're like, damn, why didn't you choose me for the video? Right? And it's more like, wow, I would love to be in this video. From the other side of the people who actually I volunteered to have the video in, like I said, friends of mine who are models who saw the finished product, and they came back and they go, I didn't know it was this. If you told me it was this, I would do it, which is very high
Oh,
insight, of course.
yes.
And then you have the press, I think, which is picked up, which a lot of people have come forward on their own accord saying that, we got exposed to the video and we really liked it. I think the video has a statement to make. If you actually look at the video from a three-part angle, you'll realize that the video embraces the evolution of love in terms of the traditional man with woman, or individuals when the video starts, to traditional man and woman, to man and woman discovering love interracially or outside their comfort zone, to then girl on girl or boy on boy, to then experimental love, to then kind of devotional love. And all that is a reflective index. The last scene is a kind of reflective index of the creator or the artist, myself, and his notion of love and an embracement of all of these uh, facets of love, which should exist in one entity without boundaries. That's basically the ethos of the video, and what the
That's right.
director Muni Agarwal and myself came up with, that it should stand for that.
Tell me, how easy or how difficult was it to get so many musicians and international musicians at that for one single song?
So I've recorded about 50 tracks right now with some of these musicians, and these are just my basic musicians. Like I said, I've been recording since, well, in my late teens. In London, I lost my mom and dad when I was very young and from Hyderabad, and then I went to London where my elder brother was, And my journey in music kind of started, and I kept discovering and kept working with people. I got actually introduced to a lovely, lovely man called Lavin Andrade, who's
Mhm.
probably my greatest supporter. And unfortunately, he passed away recently, and his
Oh, I'm
wife
sorry.
passed away very
Oh,
recently. So if there was a dedication in the end, apart from my mom, it would be to him. He was a
okay.
genius violinist, British Asian genius violinist who, at the age of 6, won the BBC Best Musicians Award, etc. And since then, he
Oh,
ran
wow.
this. Yes, he's worked at the Philharmonic, and he ran his own the best musicians in the world. And whenever there was a studio free to record, he said, "Hey, you want to record that really cool orchestration? Come on, we've got an hour free. I've got the orchestra." So a lot of the stuff was done on merit, and my rise in music has been a complete meritocracy in its system wise, that I've kind of had to work on it. But I was obsessed with music. I lived and breathed it every hour, every minute of the day. If I find a song, it's kind of very important. And I also hear things very differently. So, and that's what I did in 2018 with the Indian national anthem. um,
Yes, which really was loved across India.
yeah, it was. Well, can I show you something really cool, which
Yeah.
which makes sense? So Rabindranath Tagore is a fantastic composer, and because of the melody that he composed. So when I go on a project, I dive into really researching it. And then my uncle, Lieutenant Faradun Bilamoria, was the head of All India Army Command North Command, and he told me that the change of the guard took 52 seconds. So
Oh.
publicly, when it was done on Doordarshan, or whenever there was Republic Day or Independence Day, the guard would change in 52 seconds. So the band had to speed it up to a point of it being 52 seconds. So all I
Hmm.
did was hear the song and make it polymorphic, which is basically adding in tones to create a melody. So when you hear it, what you're hearing is, and it's very pretty. It also is really interesting because when you actually do it in a polymorphic way, you realize when you sing the song, you can actually visualize how he wrote it so that you could contextually journeys you through the entire parts of India, which
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
you could go Jana Kana Mana Adinayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravid Utkal Banga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchala Jalati Taranga. Gorgeous. It's absolutely
It
gorgeous. I mean, I
is.
wish I
It
could take
is.
credit for this composition, but I'm zero. But I'm just adapting it. But I'm just saying it's gorgeous. So Shalala is an interesting song because Shalala is made on 3 chords, which is your Ye dil mein thoda sa प्यार जैसा तू ही है मेरा नशा हमेशा 'Cause ये दिल it goes. So it's very simple. just three chords in the whole song, but the way the music moves is very dynamic, and that is something very hard.
Correct.
So I think the simplicity of music makes it very complex, and classical music actually takes
Simplicity.
three very small notes, but they make it very, very complicated. But you never miss the essence of the simplicity of it. And I think that's where really great or good songwriting comes to, and something I kind of try and learn from the great people and aspire to every day. So for me, it's learning, and never ending, and realizing, oh my God, this is so bad compared to that great song. How can I make it better?
Superb, superb. And final question, Shayan. Uh, you said that you are not too much on social media, but today is the age of social media. You also said that you don't really care about what people think, but finally, for a song to succeed, लोगों को पसंद आना जरूरी है. तो ये paradox in terms जरा समझाइए. How would you explain this paradox in terms?
This is really weird, but when a majority of the billionaires in the world are on social media, then it'll matter. Let's put it that way. There are a few celebrities who would do it. Remember, Steve Jobs was never on social media. And even Mr. Sir Ratan Tata has come in on Instagram recently. But these are people that carry legacies. Whenever someone asks me, and we consult, I have a consulting company and we consult for a lot of businesses. One of the things I always tell them is, social media should be an amplification of what you actually do outside of social media. So, for example, you have about 1 million followers on Twitter, but I don't think they're following you on Twitter for being on Twitter. I think what you do outside of Twitter is far more valuable and far more important for them to go, Mr. Komal Nahta has something worthy to say. Mr. Komal Nahta delivers the box office report accurately, and Mr. Komal Nahta breaks down, like I was talking about your interviews, breaks down the walls where I can actually see a different side of a personality, which I would not have seen before. Yes. And thus wise, I would like to be informed when Mr. Nahta tells me or brings together the umbrella of all this information under one roof, which might be Twitter, which might be Instagram, etc. And I think everyone finds that they belong on one social media. I don't think there are massive YouTube stars which are also massive on Instagram, maybe. Or it just happens to be that if they just inform their public or their followers saying that, hey, I'm opening up a new platform on Instagram and I'm on YouTube, then everyone will go there. But in general, it always starts with one great platform. Like I think Bill Gates is most active on LinkedIn. It's his business point of view, etc. And I think your reporting comes from Twitter, which also sparks it. But your YouTube format is different. So I think when the format is completely different, then it works, because you're not putting these interviews kind of on Twitter in a way because they're a lot larger, longer format or whatever it is. But I think if you create a legacy outside of social media, you will be massive on social media. And that's, if you study all the biggest people on social media, you'll find that they are already massive personalities outside of social media, and their work actually works. Because imagine at any time TikTok can fall, right? It's out of India. What do? Many people relied on their household incomes being from TikTok, and in a way that's commendable, and in a way that's also silly, putting all your eggs in one basket. I have many friends right now in COVID who are just living off their income from followers, from brand endorsements, and they make a lot of money. They've got 2-3 million. I think they get paid 5 lakhs a post, which is, I need to get on social media. So I guess my idea of getting on social media is like, please come follow me so other brands can give me free stuff and I can do it. But in general, it has no difference to my life or any such thing. If anything, I should actually be on Instagram for my travel photos. I mean, I've traveled a lot and I take really good photos. So I would love to have that. I have stunning photographs. So maybe that's a good part. But then when you look at professional travel people, see, the bar is set so high internationally, right? That I'm an amateur at most of the things I do. So when you're competing with people who are really, really good at this, who have setups, like rooms of this house to be set up with computers and video editing, etc., because it's a business for most people. It's important for my project. I'm launching a flagship wellness app, which can help a lot of people. So I think social media is very important. And I think
Oh,
that's when it'll connect much better because
and when
it
will
can,
that be launched? Sorry to
uh,
interrupt you. When will
it'll
that be
be
launched?
launched. We're aiming for early next year. The thing about a mobile app is you can launch it very prematurely and it can just fall down because it just doesn't connect. So there's a lot of things that you have to go through, and this is health. It adopts the
So you,
lifestyle I adopt,
yes.
which is intermittent fasting, and I drink a lot of water. Like I drink up to 6 liters of water a day. But yeah, I mean, maybe after the call, I'll share a link with you, and you can go through it and let me know what you think. It's
Sure.
a very exciting project. I think if done right, it maybe even become a legacy of sorts, which
Oh,
could
wonderful.
save
Oh,
people. Yeah, well,
wonderful.
health, you can't go with it. My elder brother is a much wiser version of myself. And he always asked me this very important question. He said, didn't work out, would you stop writing songs? I said, no. He said, good. If my app is called Start, and if the Start app fell down and just didn't make any money and just you just had to can it, would you stop this lifestyle that you are adopting for Start? So I said, absolutely not. He said, good, then those two will succeed.
Wow.
And I think it's a good
Good logic.
ideology. It means that you actually love what you do and you live what you do.
Yes, yes.
So
And then it doesn't
eventually,
seem like work. It doesn't seem like work.
yeah,
If you
absolutely.
love something you do. Yeah. Very nice. Cheyenne, it was fun talking to you. Here's wishing
Thank
you
you.
the very best in not just Start, but Shalala and
Thank you.
everything that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank
Of
you.
course, Shalala is already very popular. And for those who haven't seen the video or haven't heard the song, you don't know what you're missing. Right after this interview, do that. Shalala by Shayan Italia. Thank you so much. Shayan, thank you.
Thanks, Komal. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
और दोस्तों जाने से पहले जैसा मैं हमेशा इन दिनों कहता हूं, stay safe, stay relevant and of course stay tuned.